Good day, Sir Marmelo Abante. Good day, classmates. My name is Francis Michael Nunez, and my topic is all about Introduction to Internet Infrastructure, ISPs, POPs or POPs, and NAPs or NAPs. Okay, so to start off with my topic, I'm going to discuss a brief history about the Internet. Right? The internet started in the 1960s as a way for government researchers to share information. Computers in the 60s were large and immobile, and in order to make use of information stored in any one of the computer, one had to either travel to the site of the computer or have magnetic computer tapes sent through the conventional postal system. So during the days, as we all know, uh, computers are very large. It occupies almost uh, the entire room. So if one would like to gain access of the information in that computer, one must have to go to the place where that computer is located. Another catalyst in the formation of the internet was the heating up of Cold War. The Soviet Union's launch of the Sputnik satellite spurred the U.S. Defense Department to consider ways information could still be disseminated even after a nuclear war or nuclear attack. As we all know, computers also during back then was used primarily to the as an instrument of war. Calculating or making computations of trajectories of weapons. Okay, so during this Cold War, the U.S. Department, right, uh, this was led, or during the time of the Cold War, uh, it led to the formation of the ARPANET, or basically it is the first internet, right? ARPANET, Advanced Research Projects Agencies Network, the network that ultimately evolved into what we know now as the internet. ARPANET was a great success, but membership was limited to certain academic and research organizations who had contacts or contracts with the Defense Department. All right. In response to this, other networks were created to provide information sharing. And January 1, 1983 marks the official birthday of the internet. Okay. So basically, the idea of the interconnected computer was first made, all right, by the government of US with the Defense Department. Actually, those computers or the network connected only four computers located at University of California, at Los Angeles University of Stanford University of California, and San Barbara University of Utah. So that was that was a brief history of the internet. Okay, so what is really the internet, or what does the internet means? All right, it is the internet is a global network of billions of computers and other electronic devices. With the internet, it is possible to access almost any information, communicate with anyone else in the world. Right? Internet is an acronym for Interconnected Network. So I read in an article before, internet is actually the physical structure that connects one computer to another computer, right? So basically here in the Philippines, when we say, if someone would use a computer from the computer shop, they would say, magi-internet sila, no? But basically, the term internet is, it's the hardware, and software, wherein, it works together to connect one computer to another computer. Okay, so instead of saying, they're going to use the internet, uh, they could say, their people would go online, okay, so to access web services online. Okay, so how does the internet work? When you visit a website, your computer sends a request over these wires to a server. Okay, a server is where websites are stored, and it works a lot like your computer's hard drive. All right, so if you have seen pictures of servers, actually, it looks like cabinets filled with computing devices, right? And it actually it fills the entire room full of these hardwares just to keep or to store data from their users. So once the request arrives, the server retrieves the websites and send the correct data back to your computer. Actually, it uses IP addresses, right? So actually, IP addresses contains information about your computer. It actually refers to like your house address, so that data will be sent on a specific location from the server, right? What's amazing is that this all happens in just a few seconds. So that's you know uh, how fast information travels nowadays. Okay, so uh, the internet connects billions of computers, and the great thing about it is that nobody owns the internet. If you access a website, you don't own the internet, but you become part of the network, right? So, internet infrastructure, the basic physical and organizational structures and facilities. Okay, uh, physical meaning tangible. So these are the part of the internet where you can actually touch these parts. Okay, so structures. Examples are like, for example, buildings, roads, power supplies needed for the operation of a society or enterprise. Actually, that meaning is for the infrastructure because we already defined internet on the previous slide. So this definition refers to the infrastructure. Okay, so if we're going to combine the internet, which is uh, billions of connected computers, plus the infrastructure, so meaning to say it is the physical hardware or soft or physical hardware that makes up these billions of computers interconnected to each other. Okay, so for example, a nation's transportation infrastructure consists of roadways, railroads, airports, ocean ports, and rivers. So actually, when we talk about infrastructures, again, it consists of the uh, physical matter or component that builds the internet. Okay, so although not as visible to the naked eye, the internet also has an infrastructure consisting of many different elements, each of which plays a critical role in the delivery of information from one point to another. Network infrastructures refers to all of the resources of a network that makes network or internet connectivity, management, business operation, or operations and communication possible. Network infrastructure comprises of hardware and software, system and devices, and it enables computing and communications or communication between users, services, applications, and processes. Anything involved in the network, from servers to wireless routers, comes together to make up a system's network infrastructure. So there you go. The definition of network or internet infrastructures are basically are made up of network, from servers to wireless routers and softwares, all right, and everything that makes the internet works. Okay, so network infrastructures allow for effective communication and service between users, applications, services, devices, and so forth. So basically, these are some of the internet infrastructures that are very much common into a like for example in our house that has a capability to gain access information from the internet. So these are the basic components, and some of these are peripherals as well. So number one, we have RJ45 or RJ11. RJ45 are the connector found on the end of the cable where it connects from your modem through your computer to your computer, right? And RJ11, these are connector from telephone lines. These are much smaller compared to RJ45. So based from the picture, okay? And you have UTP cable or the Universal Twisted Pair cable. So this comes with different categories, all right? And it has 8 color-coded wires, right? These are very common, right? Because this is cheaper than the other cables, like for example, fiber optics, which is very expensive. All right, and we have, of course, the modem. Okay, so this is the modem, right? Modem stands for modulator and demodulator, right? So actually, this is the hardware that connects from the telephone lines, all right, to this, and then from the modem to your computer. Okay, so Ethernet card, it looks like this. Actually, this is the component of your computer where the UTP cable is attached to. Okay, and we have, of course, routers, switch hub, or switch and hub. These are hardwares used uh, for us to be able to connect other computers to the internet. Okay, and of course, we have software like operating system, right, and web browsers. Okay, so these are the internet infrastructures needed for someone to connect to the uh, internet or interconnected computers or network. All right, so let's proceed with ISP or Internet Service Provider. ISP is a company that provides internet connections and services to individuals and organizations, right? In addition to providing access to the internet, ISPs may also provide software packages such as browsers, email accounts, and personal websites or home page, right? ISPs can host websites for businesses and can also build the websites themselves. ISP are all connected to each other through network access points, public network facilities on the internet backbone. All right, so we're going to talk about the internet backbone later. So this is very interesting, right? An ISP is also sometimes referred to as an IAP or Internet Access Provider, right? ISP is sometimes used as abbreviation for Independent Service Provider to distinguish a service provider that is independent, separate company from a telephone company. So actually, the idea of ISP is they let, if you're going to subscribe uh, like for example for an internet service provider, the idea of this is just the ISP lets you use uh, their hardwares for you to be able to be a part of a network. So that's it. Okay, so that's the idea of ISP. So an ISP has the equipment, see, and the telecommunication line access required to have a point of presence on the internet for geographic area served. So we're going to talk about, so that is like a different topic for point of presence, which should be discussed on the next or the following slide. So excuse me, I have here an animation that shows how information travels inside the network. So actually, for example, if you have like your computer, all right, if you're going to send a file, for example, we have here green, blue, and red, your file will be chopped down into a different packets, right? And those packets will travel in different routes right? And then it will arrive into your computer as a random file, and part of your computer will then arrange those files into its original format. Okay, so that's how packets or your information travels uh, using packets, right? They from in your file, they make it smaller, right? And then those smaller files will travel through different routes, and then they will end up into your computer, right? And yeah, so that's why sometimes we experience, like for example, when you watch videos from YouTube, we get the example of buffering, right? It means it is collecting um, more video files from the servers, so that you'll be able to watch those videos. Okay, so infrastructure, POPs, right? A point of presence, or POP, is a demarcation point or access point or physical location at which two or more networks or communication devices share connection. So when we say demarcation points, it helps customer to determine where their private phone network begins and where the public switched network ends, and allows you to have much greater flexibility when it comes to choosing your phone provider. So the idea of this is, like for example, in this diagram, okay? So if you want to watch movies from Netflix, so for example, you type in the URL or the website of Netflix in your browser, uh, your computer now will send requests from your computer to your ISP, for example, PLDT. So from your computer, the request will be sent to PLDT. All right. So the request will not be sent directly to the server of Netflix, because Netflix is inside or a part of a different network, which is the AWS or the Amazon Web Services. So as you can see here, from your request to your ISP, that is a POP already, so point of presence. And then from the Amazon Web Services to the server of Netflix is another POP, or point of services, or point of presence. Okay, so what will happen there in this diagram? So your request to your ISP, and then your ISP will now send the request to the network AWS, and then finally it will be sent to the Netflix servers, and then uh, when the server of Netflix finds your request, it will now send or grant your request by sending your files from the server to the network AWS, and then sent to your ISP, and then finally you will receive those files as videos. Okay, so we have here, how does your request gets into the AWS network? So that's the question. So with the use of POPs, of course, you know essentially this point of entry is where phone companies wiring meets a subscriber's wiring, and serves as a physical representation of which part of the network is public and which part is private. So again, the idea of POPs is it is the sending of your request from your computer to your ISP. So that is one point of presence. Okay, so but in between the POPs, again, according to this diagram, we have two POPs. Okay, so from your computer to the ISP, and then from the Amazon Web Services to the server of Netflix. So two POPs. Okay, so next we have NAPs. Okay, so Internet is infrastructure, NAPs. How does your request gets into the AWS network? So almost the same question, but the answer will be based on how NAPs bridge those POPs. Okay, so NAP or Network Access Point is a building where internet service providers can switch information to each other's network. The point from which an internet service provider or ISP drops down its line and establishes a peering arrangement to provide internet connectivity to the customer. So for us to uh, visualize the idea of NAPs is, again, here you are sending requests, for a movie from Netflix. It will be sent to your uh, ISP. So the request will now be sent to a NAP. It is a building. A building. It's like a physical, all right, physical location, all right. And then from the NAP, your request will be sent to, again, Amazon Web Services, to the network of, or the servers of Netflix. So again, from this diagram, you will see that NAP provides a bridge between two uh, networks, right? Two networks, so the PLDT and AWS. All right. So next is we have routers. So what is router? A router is a network device that serves two primary functions. It connects multiple computers, phones, tablets, or other devices to form a managed local area network. So basically, router you know, uh, are found in small businesses, or for example, schools. Okay, and its main function is for you to be able to connect more than one devices to the internet. Okay, and the second function of router is it provides internet access to all of the compatible devices that are connected to the router. So from the diagram below, so as you can see from your modem, right, if you want to add more devices, you know you will have to place a router between the modem and your other devices, right? You might say that most of our devices at home are capable of connecting to the internet using Wi-Fi. Yeah, but the idea of having a router means you can add, like for example, two or more computers. Uh, like for example, if they don't have a capability of connecting through Wi-Fi, like for example, desktop computers, you will be able to connect those desktop computers using UTP cables. Right? So those UTP cables will be connected to your computer through the router, and then the router is connected to the modem. So those computers will have also an access uh, to the network or to the internet. Right? So those are the functions of a router. All right. So a local area network or LAN can be set up by simply deploying a router and connecting one or several devices to it. Modern routers allow users to connect devices both via internet cables or wirelessly using Wi-Fi. So the difference between connecting to the internet by using Wi-Fi and cable is that when you use Wi-Fi, there might be a tendency that you'll be able to experience latency or a slow connection between your device from the router or modem, right? But with if you're going to use cable, right, cable connection, uh, the transfer of data is more secured and stable, right? So, meaning say if you're going to, like for example, if you're going to play a game, it is much advised to have your connection using wired, right? It will grant your computer a stable connectivity to the internet. Okay. So next is we have internet backbone. So an internet backbone refers to one of the principal data routes between large, strategically interconnected networks and core routers on the internet. An internet backbone is a very high-speed data transmission line. I would like you guys to take note of that. Okay, it is where is that? Data transmission line. So that is very, very literal. When you say internet backbone, these are made up of physical cables. Okay, uh, that provides networking facilities to relatively small but high-speed internet service providers all around the world. Okay, so internet backbones are the largest data connection on the internet. They require high-speed bandwidth connections and high-performance servers and routers. Backbone networks are primarily owned by commercial, educational, government, and military entities because they provide a consistent way for internet service providers to keep and maintain online information in a secure manner. Okay, so as I've said earlier, when we talk about internet backbone, it refers to the physical cable. All right, so maybe we have an idea of on how data is being transferred uh, wirelessly. Okay, so when we talk about backbone, it actually exists. Those lines of cables actually exist. Like for example, from the diagram here. So for example, this is like for example your home or yeah, your home or school, for example. Okay. So for example, here you are working on your computer, trying to access the internet. Right. So for example, this is your modem. All right. So your modem is connected here and the transmission of data from your modem through the tower here, all right, is of course it's not visible, all right, but from this tower again from the wireless transmitter going through your ISP, so this is your internet service provider, right, and from the ISP you'll be able to see a blue cable here that links the ISP to the internet backbone. So what is again an internet backbone? Is actually again a data transmission line. So before I end my presentation, I would like to show you a website where actually we can view internet backbone or yeah internet backbone. So we're going to type in submarine cable map. Right, so here's the website. Okay, and then let me go of course to Asia. All right, so as you can see here, there is actually lines of cables, and it they call it submarine cable because it is submerged, all right, under the sea. Okay, so like for example here in the Philippines, all right, so for example, see this, for example, we're living here and you want to send a request, all right, send a request, for example, you are trying to log in uh, on your Facebook account. So for example, from here, your request will be sent, for example, to your ISP, and your ISP will now send a request through this cable, all right, all right. So let's say, for example, this is just an example, right? So for example, uh, the Facebook servers are in Taiwan, so you will be able to see actually those lines traveling here, you know, from the Philippines to other countries. And this is worldwide. Okay, this is worldwide. You will be able to see that there is actually a cable linking one country to another country. So that is very interesting. So uh, that is my presentation about internet infrastructure. And thank you.